morning sun rose weakly through a gray blanket of clouds, washing the street in a dull, colorless light. The market was beginning to stir, shopkeepers pulling up their shutters, the aroma of frying bread mixing with the smell of dust and diesel. In that quiet chaos stood a boy no more than 12 beside an old rust-spotted bicycle. His shirt was too big, hanging loose on his thin shoulders, and his small hands clutched the handlebars as though the metal frame were his only anchor in the world. He looked at every passerby with the same hesitant hope, eyes that tried to smile even when they were red from the cold night before. "Sir, please, buy my bike," he whispered, but his voice was swallowed by the noise of engines and horns. He waited again and again, repeating those words to strangers who barely slowed down. Some shook their heads, some ignored him completely. One man laughed, tossing a few coins near his feet, not even glancing at the bicycle. The boy didn't pick up the coins. They rolled away and disappeared into the gutter. He wasn't begging. He was trying to sell something that had once meant the world to him. The bike wasn't much to look at. Its red paint had faded into a tired brown. The tires sagged, the seat was torn, and one pedal was wrapped in a strip of old cloth to keep it from slipping. But the boy looked at it as though it was a treasure, his last possession, the last piece of a better time. When the wind blew, a small bell on the handlebar jingled, a soft, broken sound that carried memories. A man in his 40s stopped to check his phone near the stall. The boy saw him and hurried forward. "Sir, please, buy my bike. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." His voice trembled, his eyes desperate but gentle, as if afraid of being scolded for asking. The man looked down, startled. He studied the boy, the bicycle, the torn sandals, and the dust on his face. For a moment he didn't know what to say. The words hit him harder than he expected. The boy continued, his words spilling out between shaky breaths. "I know it's old, sir, but it still runs fine. Please, I just need some money for food. She used to smile so much, sir, before they took everything from us. I just want to see her smile again." He stopped, his throat tightening. There was a pause, a silence heavy enough to make the air feel thicker. Somewhere behind them, a vendor shouted about fresh vegetables, a radio played an old song. But for the boy and the man, the world seemed to shrink until only those words existed. The man crouched down slowly. "Who took everything from you?" he asked softly. The boy's gaze fell to the ground. His fingers traced the handlebar absent-mindedly. When he spoke again, his voice was barely more than a whisper. "The bikers," he said. "They were supposed to protect us, but they're the ones who took it all." The man frowned, not understanding. "What do you mean?" The boy looked up, and for the first time his eyes seemed older than his face. They came on big bikes with jackets and helmets. Everyone was afraid of them. They said they were guarding our street, that they'd keep us safe. My mommy gave them food sometimes, even when we didn't have enough for us. She said good people help each other. His voice cracked slightly, but one night they came again. Different this time. They were angry. They wanted money. When Mommy said we didn't have any, they broke the door, they took everything. Our clothes, our stove, even the little radio she loved. They laughed when I cried. He paused, trying to hold back the tears forming in his eyes. After that night, Mommy stopped talking. She just sits and stares. I tried to fix the door. I tried to find work. Nobody wants to hire a kid. So I thought, maybe if I sell my bike. His hand tightened on the handlebars. Maybe she can eat again. The man stood there speechless. He felt a sting behind his eyes, an ache in his chest he couldn't quite name. He had seen poverty before. He had walked past beggars, children sleeping on sidewalks, but something about this boy, about the trembling sincerity in his voice, made it impossible to turn away. He looked at the bike again. "How much?" he asked. The boy hesitated, unsure how to answer. "Whatever you can give, sir. I just need enough for food." The man nodded slowly, then took out his wallet. He could have given him a few bills and walked away, and maybe that's what the boy expected. But something deeper stirred in him, a mix of guilt, empathy, and anger at a world that could crush innocence so easily. He handed the boy a note, enough to feed his mother for several days, maybe more. The boy's eyes widened. "Sir, this is too much. Keep it," the man said softly, "and keep your bike. You'll need it again one day." The boy shook his head, tears spilling down his cheeks. "No, sir. Please take it. I can't take money for nothing." The man smiled faintly. "You already gave me something, son. You reminded me what real strength looks like." But the boy insisted, pushing the bike gently toward him. The man sighed and finally accepted. placing a reassuring hand on the boy's shoulder. "What's your name?" "Aaron," the boy said quietly. "All right, Aaron, where's your mother?" "Let me walk you home." Aaron's eyes widened again, a mixture of hope and fear. "You'd come?" "It's not far, but it's not a nice place." "That's okay," the man said. "Lead the way." They walked through narrow alleys where walls were cracked and painted with old posters. Stray dogs slept in doorways and the smell of smoke and waste lingered in the air. Aaron led him to a small dim room at the edge of the slum. Inside, a woman sat on the floor, her back against the wall, staring at nothing. Her hair was messy, her cheeks hollow, her hands clasped tightly around an old shawl. When she saw her son walk in with a stranger, she flinched. "Mommy, it's okay," Aaron said softly, kneeling beside her. "This is the man who bought my bike. He helped us." The woman blinked slowly, confusion and shame flickering across her tired eyes. "You sold your bike?" she whispered. Her voice was weak, barely audible. "That was your father's." Arun looked down. "I know, Mommy, but we needed food." The man understood then. This bike was not just a toy or transport. It was a memory, a link to the father who wasn't there anymore. He stepped forward gently. "Ma'am, please don't worry. The bike is safe. Your son didn't sell it for pity. He did it out of love." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "People don't help strangers anymore," she murmured. "Some still try," he said quietly. "You just met one." He handed her the money, wrapped neatly in a folded paper. "Use this for what you need most. And tomorrow I'll come back with some groceries." "Don't refuse." Aaron looked at him speechless, as though he couldn't believe kindness could still exist. The man smiled, ruffling his hair gently. "You're a good boy. Aaron, take care of your mother." He turned to leave, but as he stepped out, he heard the faint sound of the woman sobbing, not out of pain this time, but out of the sudden, fragile hope that maybe the world hadn't completely forgotten her. Over the next few days, the man kept his promise. He returned with food, blankets, and medicine. He talked to the mother, helped her apply for aid, even arranged a small job cleaning at a local store. Slowly, she began to smile again. Aaron started school part-time, riding his old bicycle proudly. It squeaked and rattled, but it carried something stronger than metal. It carried the weight of survival and the warmth of a stranger's compassion. The story spread quietly through the neighborhood. People began to notice the boy who sold his bike for his mother, and the man who refused to let him. Some offered help, others simply smiled when they saw them pass, and the bikers, the ones who had once terrorized the street, never came back. Maybe they moved on, or maybe the sight of people standing together made them realize they were no longer welcome. Months later, on a bright morning, Aaron rode his bicycle through the same market where he once stood begging strangers to buy it. The paint was still faded, but now it had new handle grips and a fixed seat. As he pedaled past the stalls, he saw the same man talking to a vendor. Aaron stopped, grinning widely. "Sir," he called out. The man turned and smiled back. "You kept it running," he said. "I told you it still works." Aaron laughed. "Mommy made breakfast for you." "You have to come." The man nodded, touched by the simple invitation. As they walked together toward that small home, the morning sunlight finally broke through the clouds, casting a golden glow over the street. The dust danced in the air, and for once everything felt lighter. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can echo louder than the cruelest of betrayals. Sometimes a boy with a broken bike can teach the world more about love and strength than any sermon ever could. Arun never forgot the hunger, the fear, or the night the bikers came. But he also never forgot the day a stranger looked at him, not as a burden, but as a boy who deserved to be heard. Years passed, and the man continued to visit. He watched Aaron grow taller, stronger, wiser. The boy fixed more bikes, then motorcycles, and soon he opened a small repair shop. On its wall hung a framed photo of his old bicycle, polished and bright under a single bulb. Below it was a sign, hand-painted in neat letters, "Buy my bike, a story of hope." Customers often asked about the sign, and Arun would smile, telling them the same story, the hunger, the fear, the kindness that changed everything. Each time he told it, he didn't cry anymore. He spoke with gratitude, with strength, and every child who came into his shop left with a small piece of that hope, the belief that good still existed in the world. The man grew older, his hair grayer, but every time he rode past the shop, he stopped to wave. And each time Aaron came running out smiling just like that boy for